startup ecosystem, what the idea is that you have to learn how to pitch your idea clearly and concisely. And once you learn how to do that, then you can bring in all the stakeholders and you can get into programs that'll help you and train you on how to build it. But that first step is you have to design a business model that is desirable.
When I initially moved back to Pensacola, I had a meeting with Lloyd. Lloyd invited me for breakfast and I was telling him, man, I still have an idea for the entertainment industry. This is what I wanted to do. He was like, all right, I got Startup on the Blocks. So I need you to start coming to Startup on the Blocks and get a little more information on how to work through the tech ecosystem and take your idea and we'll get you where you need to go. My company is called The Know, is an app that is streamlining business for the entertainment industry. Yeah, so if you're a musician, what you would do is pretty much jump on the platform, you'll create a profile, but the way we created the profile is pretty much a cleaner way. So now if they want more information about you, you'll connect your social media platforms, your streaming platforms, and that way they can go directly to it. What we also have included is your calendar. So pretty much you can set your days, you can set your price for your days and automate your booking. So initially talking to Lloyd, my idea was all here, it was there, it was over here, it was over there. It was like, all right, Quinn, I get it. You got a lot that you want to do, but we need you to bring it in just a little bit and then work on your pitch, your story, and how you're going to bring it full circle to get people to understand what you're trying to create.
Most of the programs here wasn't inclusive, and so we said we'll focus on helping founders of color. We also start at the beginning of the thing, at the idea stage, whereas a lot of the programs you see here locally, they start after you're up, and that's not very efficient unless if you don't have a lot of money, you can't recover from your mistakes. And the lean startup system, it actually helps you make mistakes faster before you spend a lot of money. You don't actually start building anything until you got customer buy-in.
There was a need for small businesses to bring brand awareness to their business. I see there's a lot of makers and bakers that they're making all of these goodies and these products, but they can't market it, they can't sell it at the same time, and there needs to be kind of like that middleman, that middle person to help bring economic growth to some of the small businesses in Pensacola. So Taste of Pensacola, I came up with that idea during the pandemic when I saw things at that time that Amazon couldn't fulfill. They didn't even have those products, but the local people in the community, they did. And so there was a ton of people coming out saying, hey, I make masks. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. All the local people here that are just as talented that can actually make those products. And so I wanted to kind of showcase who they were. So with Taste of Pensacola, our income streams, we have several of them. We have the corporate America. We do corporate gifting, just regular consumers, different Pensacola natives that don't live here that want to purchase our boxes, like a taste of weddings, distribution. So we also do bulk sales. So for a private airline, if they want some local snacks and goodies on their passenger flights, they will come to Taste of Pensacola and we will source their vendors here locally. And we'll give a small business owner an opportunity to have reoccurring monthly sales. I've always had a really big vision for Taste of Pensacola. I knew that it could go beyond just local. I know that maybe other communities could possibly use the same platform that I'm trying to build. And I always have these big visions, but I never know how to even get there. Where do I start? I know it's more than, there's a lot of technical things behind it. I know there's a lot of research, but that connection, I never had it until, thankfully, I met and was introduced to Startups on the Blocks and was able to just learn more about how to grow it in terms of data. Things I just never thought about, framework, words like traction. There's a lot of things that I just did not know about and language that I need to know in order to get funding for my business. There's just a lot that I didn't know.
I would go to the stores and look online. They didn't have a wide variety of natural hair products about 8 years ago. And the ones that they did have, the ingredients, it would say that they were all natural. And when I would research the ingredients, a lot of the ingredients were not natural. I make everything, my shampoo, conditioner, I have an oil that I make, and I have 2 different separate butters. Like I had some people who were completely bald and grew their hair. It's about giving women their confidence back in their hair. I have this salon and I have a second salon, and I have my products in about 5 beauty supply stores. So I need a manufacturer to keep up with the demand at this point. Startup on the Blocks has helped my business grow. Send me to different people. I'm able to do different pitch competitions to apply for grants in the community for small businesses. Lloyd's a really good person to connect with. He has a lot of resources here in the community that can help small businesses grow. If you have a product out there and you're trying to go big time, he's the person that you would want to meet with.
So it's really important to have some type of support because 9 times out of 10, most founders start out on their own. And to have somebody that has an idea of how the ecosystem works and is able to tap into other resources and bring back to the community, and that pretty much has encountered some of the roadblocks or going through the same roadblocks that we're currently going through and understands where you're at, your culture and how you respond to things, is a big help because you don't really have too many people that have access to what we have access to here in the community. And a lot of people believe that you have to leave and go to bigger cities to do the things that we're doing here. But I mean, it's one thing to have exposure, but you have to actually know it's here in the community in order to take advantage of the resources. So I get approached and I talk to friends all the time that wants to either start an idea or hear that I'm actually doing the app and wants to know more information about how are you doing it or what's the process, what's the path. I'm like, man, we have somebody here, Startup on the Blocks, Lloyd Richard. And Lloyd is here, he's a great resource to the community and to founders that's trying to learn the ecosystem. So join Startup on the Blocks.
Hello, welcome everybody to Startup Founder Best Practices. We're glad to be here tonight. We have an exciting guest, Tom Northrup. We did a little recording earlier because he had a family emergency come up, but he'll be monitoring the chat starting around 7:15 Central Time. So if you got any questions, just feel free to put them in the chat. So it's a lot of good information. So I'm looking forward to sharing that video with you. Let's see. I'll go ahead and so I met Tom. I guess last month, and then so he's got an interesting story, and I think he could be a lot of help to a lot of founders out there. So he has a lot of insight and stuff like that. So that's really, really great. So I also, based on his LinkedIn profile, I created a kind of explainer video about his background, and I'll share the link to that. I won't have time to play it tonight, but I will share the link to that in the chat. And Tom hadn't seen it yet, so he'll probably be a little shocked when he sees it as well. We appreciate you all joining us tonight. So a little bit about us, if you're new. I know it's a new person within networking tonight, Devin. So basically, we have this program called Startup Founder, Founder Insight Program. But it's basically to help founders. And it's based on our past almost 6 years of working with founders, and we've been on this particular event every Thursday night since August 13, 2020, and we're somewhere close to 300 events now, and so it's a really neat opportunity, to share some of the best practices with founders. We had a great conversation with Sam Cleaver in the network tonight. That was a lot of fun. He was sharing some of his approaches to doing stuff, and so we have some partners with the Cocoa Institute to help us with this Founders Insight program. I had a meeting today with the Black Innovation Alliance, and they introduced a new tool that we'll probably be able to make available to founders here starting soon. And so it's just always a lot of great things, and of course the framework that we use is the Lean Startup framework, and it's just like when I worked for the government. We had an engineering methodology that we followed, R&D methodology that we followed, and so if you're building a startup, you need to be following a methodology. You don't need to be out there randomly doing stuff, and this methodology is the Lean Startup, and Ash has evolved that to the Lean Spark. So it's like having an AI co-founder, and it's got all the lean stack, playbooks in it, and it just keeps you on track, for moving forward. Uh, we partner with the Black Innovation Leaders of Florida. We just wrapped up last month our Founders Innovation Tour in summer. That was really fantastic. We had a really nice crowd for that. A lot of great presentations, and we appreciate all the people that signed up and attended that. We had over 100 in person between the 2 days, and so that was really, really exciting. But all these, and so for those of you all don't know, we're partnered with Startup Science, and if you want to have access to that program, you just need to sign up for our Founders Insight program. We provide that to you, and it's got a bunch of perks in there for founders. It's got a bunch of startup programs for founders, money programs, you name it, it's got it in there, and it's like an ecosystem. If you're a startup founder, it's got the stuff in there that you need, from forming a company all the way to from idea to exit. So you're missing out if you're not taking advantage of some of these resources that we have available. We make Coda available to you. We're partnered with Coda, who has since been bought by Grammarly, and now Superhuman is managing both Grammarly application and Coda application. So it's like really, really fantastic. Make startups. Of course, they got good programs and everything. And Goody Nation, they've been around a while, and so we're excited about just having went through their program for and just they're always pumping out a lot of good information, and so it's so that's something. If you're a Black or Latino founder, you can check on that. And so the next thing I'll do real quick is, just give a little shout out to, some of our other financial sponsors and partners. And so that really support the efforts, what we doing. Like, for example, Baptist Hospital, like at Innovation Summit, they provided both breakfast and lunch, which was really, really fantastic. And a bunch of these other folks, they like Industry Hotels gave us a discount on the hotels for the speakers. It's just a really great combination of effort that these folks do. Equity Project Alliance, they helped out. Quint Studer and Rishi Studer, they sponsored $2,500 tickets. So it was really, really fantastic. And Renaissance Bank. So we're always excited about the support and that with all this stuff that we do. It's like really fantastic. I see Vercel is on tonight. He was one of the founding folks that helped us get this thing started. Glad to see him out there, and I hope everything's working out well for him. So I want everyone to know we're all about founders. So everything we do is about supporting founders. So yeah, if you don't connect, you just realize, if you connect with us, we're going to help you move forward, and that's what I want you to understand. And I'll put a couple of links here in the chat so you know how to kind of get involved. So get that in here real quick. So yeah, the first link in there is for our Founders Insight program that's open to everyone, and you get access to the resources and the different software stuff we have. That it's all about founders. So that's what you can kind of do there. And I'll try to make myself available every Saturday, from 1 to 3 for office hours. And so that's where you can come in and ask questions and stuff. Last Saturday, we went over all the prompts that were in the prompt package for the folks that attended the register for the Founders Innovation Summit. So that that prompt package is like unbelievable. And it's four categories there we use. One is like a reflection category. You get the AI to act as a mirror, so you can actually understand how well you're prompting, how have you improved over the while. And then we also had part of that package is it's the business model design, demand validation, and marketing strategy prompt. That prompt literally will simulate your whole business, and it'll like predict your whole business thing, and including validating demand. But it gives you an idea how to follow the lean stack process, and it's a framework. So it's not just prompting about a marketing plan or prompting about this or that. It's literally takes you through from an idea, basically from an idea industry, all the pain points in that industry, all the stakeholders, and then creates you a business model around that. So it's a really powerful situation. And then the next prompt we had in there was, I smile about this one because this one is the most significant. It's like it's the prompt that actually creates the nature framework for you, so you can use that prompt that it creates to analyze data. So it's like mirroring your brain, and it can spot information in transcript. It can spot information in YouTube videos. It can spot information in reports. You literally don't have to read the reports. It'll go in and find all the information that's related to what your brain is set to look for. So it's like it sees things you can't see as a human, but it's seeing things that are based on what you're interested in. And so we'll share some of the explanation of those prompts, on the YouTube channel, and also on this Facebook startup on the blocks page, so you can kind of maybe take some advantage of some of that in the future. Anybody got any questions about our programs and how we help founders? I'll definitely be glad to answer those. And let's get this other information in here. So I'll go ahead and prompt all three of these, put out three of these things in the chat. So basically, I'll put them in here. Just some links. So the first link is for the a Notebook LM video that we created about based on Tom's background. And so the second one is his LinkedIn profile and also his website. So you'll have that handy. So feel free to jump in the chat when I pull the video that Sam and I recorded earlier. And I will be monitoring the chat. Sam will hop on in about 2 minutes, monitoring the chat. Like I said, he had a family emergency, but he will be able to monitor the chat. So as the video is playing, just make sure you go ahead and in the chat ask questions, so he and I both can respond to the questions and stuff. We'll also take a few minutes at the end of the video to do it. So just to put your mind in the right framework, as a founder, you're out there developing stuff, and so Sam is going to, not Sam, but Tom is going to give you some good ideas about how to use AI, his human first approach. And so it's real educational, and he's going to show you some things as a founder you can do, or as a small business owner you can do as well. So let me pull that up real quick here, get it on the screen here so I can share it with you. Let's get my screen shared. Let's see. Do that. Start over, make sure I get it correctly. I want to make sure the sound is in there, and so we can do. Right, here we go. Got that going. And let me click start here.
Hi, I'm Tom Northrup. I'm a digital gardener, sort of a retired systems architect. Spent 16 years building business applications for enterprise and small businesses across the country. I now recently worked with operationalizing AI inside of Azure.
Fantastic. That sounds great. So, like before all this, you became an architect. Tell us a little bit about your journey, like maybe from high school, college. Just tell what sort of led you into this field.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I was a photographer in the Navy and got out and was doing wedding photos and had a kid and decided I needed a more regular job. So I went back to college and I went to school for interdisciplinary IT. So I had a vision of mixing business and IT degree. And so that's what I did. I had half a business and half a IT engineering degree. Really loved engineering processes. I mean, I count my steps picking up the dog bowl to the food. What's the most efficient way? Like, I call myself a chronic problem solver, and found IT was a fit for that. So started supporting a healthcare application, working for Studer Group here in Pensacola, and SQL database, C Sharp, stored procedures type application, .NET. Cut my teeth on that and really loved it. Moved from there. We did a Dynamics 365 CRM implementation. And it was the first time we moved online. So back in 2010, the cloud was new. And so then I started working implementing Dynamics because I saw there was nothing. Like we'd Google an error message and there was no forums, there was no like post, it was brand new. And I knew like, oh, there's something here. Like, let me jump on it. And so I spent my career completely focused on Dynamics 365 CRM. And from there, it branched out because CRMs are integrated with ERPs, with manufacturing systems, with sales systems, marketing. And so I started building integrations because I had the technical background as well. As it matured, the tool, we used less development code, and it became more low code, no code was their theory. Dynamics CRM became the power platform, and then it branched out and stuff. And so really, I always reached over the fence. I always found out when I was integrating with a system, what does that system do? What is those data points? What do they look like? How is it used? And that really helped me. And that's where I started moving more towards a systems architect role, where I could give an overarching view of multiple applications integrated, started building in Azure sort of as the neutral ground where we could move data in and out of these different systems, and yet architected so it made sense and told one story, right? You're only storing data in one place. You're not moving it to several places, stuff like that. So the shift to digital gardener happened when I read an old article about how architect job came about in the 70s when computer jobs came out, because that's all they knew for building and engineering was an architect. But we don't build applications that stay in place for 100 years, right? So the whole idea of things need to grow changed the way I started planning and designing, of like, you know what, things need to grow. They need space. We need to anticipate growth. We need to expect change, right? I'd always get funny when developers would be like, oh, they want to change everything. It's like, well, yeah, like it should. Like processes change, things go through evolution. So that's really how I wound up there.
So like let's go back to that problem solving. Where did you develop that problem solving skill from?
I didn't know, like I didn't play with Legos a lot as a kid. I didn't like build stuff. I wasn't an engineering kid. Like I was more athletic. Like I played football, basketball, track and field. I was always outside. I grew up on a farm. But the Navy really sort of like kicked that in place when I started seeing their approach to training and development, and certainly their maintenance process in the military really was like, wow, man, they really break it down. So when I was a photographer in school, day one, you take apart the camera you're going to use. Like you completely unscrew all the screws and you look at all the pieces and you put it back together. And I just thought that helped me understand it a different way. And it sort of stuck with me from there. Like every time I came to something, I looked at it as, what does this look like all separate? And then how did it get put together? Right. And for software application, implementations, those projects, that's not a common perspective. A lot of people are very focused on, well, you asked for a button, so you got a button.
Yeah.
And it's like, did they need a button? You know, like,
Gotcha.
so that's where really, like, it became better to ask more questions. Like, I learned that early on of, like, you know, when you're young and you're excited, you're like, I know everything. And technology, back then it was SharePoint lists and, you know, before APIs, it was, you know, SSIS. And I was eager to, like, prove that technology could solve business problems, and then quickly learned that asking more questions to understand what's going on was really a better way. And then now it's been doing it so long, it drives my wife and my kids crazy, because they're like, everything's not like a lesson. Like, everything doesn't have to be a problem.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. So it's interesting how these different experiences in life leads to something else. So so what was your approach to learning how to be a software architect, especially in Azure? And so was that something you took a lot of classes for, or you just learned by doing? Because that, I don't know if they teach that stuff in college or whatever.
Right. No. College was just base coding, Java, you know, like JavaScript, maybe, if you're lucky. I don't know what it is now. That was 20 years ago. But the process for learning was really on the job. So I would be designing and working on a project, and the developer would be like, I just write the code. I don't know why this service isn't working. And so I would be like, well, go figure it out. So I'd go figure it out. I'd go research and Google, tons of Googling, YouTube videos. And then the Microsoft certification and learn process, what back then it wasn't as formal as it is now, but learn.microsoft.com is a tremendous resource for Microsoft technology. And so I started just consuming that left and right. I have a giant zip folder of downloaded documents and stuff like that of learning how to use it. But then most of it was just hands-on on the job of like, hey, we need this to work. Someone needs to make this work. And I would just figure it out until we got it right.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that Microsoft Learn thing, because I think a lot of people don't know that's out there. If you want to learn, you can dig in and learn, and it's free. So
and Google does the same thing. Amazon does the same. I don't know if Amazon's is rich, but Google's definitely got a whole academy set up as well of a lot of free content.
And like I said, there's no shortage of YouTube videos.
Right.
So, but what got you interested in AI stuff?
Well, part of Dynamics with Microsoft, they started deploying Copilot. So I knew when I saw AI, 3-4 years ago, I was like, this is going to be something. And then when Copilot rolled out, it was like, okay, Microsoft's really going to dig in. So having worked in the Microsoft ecosystem with Microsoft partners for so long, you really knew how to read the tea leaves from marketing release to marketing release of where Microsoft was investing and putting effort. So those of us who worked in it every day like that, we would have, we'd meet and forum discussions and emails, and we could see like, Microsoft's all in on this. Like, this is going to be the only thing they're doing early on. So we were selling, I was working for Western Computer at the time. It's one of the largest Microsoft partners in the country. And I was the practice director for CRM. So I started developing the Copilot plan, because for ERP, the finance side of applications, getting AI in there is a longer road because it's regulated, it's audited, right? Like, don't mess with the money. But the CRM side with sales, they want AI all the time. So anyway, so we knew we had to train on it and deploy it. And our early deployments weren't going well. So we would try, and we were treating it like a tool. The client was treating it it should be treated like a tool, but we were treating it just as like another application you just turn on or whatever, right? And I knew that wasn't going to work, because it didn't work like that with CRM, right? If you don't train your people, they don't use it, right? If the system's too cumbersome, they don't use it, right? Like, so seeing that real time started to frustrate me a bunch of like, this isn't the right way. We really need to step back and take a look at like, where's it useful? Like, before we start telling people to just talk to it right away. It's come a long way in the past year. or so as everything shifted to agentic work. So
Mhm.
just as a chat tool for those 2 years, it was just really frustrating me. And so that's when I started like digging into, is there a better way? What would that look like? Because I was going to deploy that. And as I did, I started realizing, I mean, I guess maybe this jumps to the next question, but I started realizing working for someone else wasn't going to get that done.
Okay,
You
gotcha.
know, Western Computers leadership and their organization's incredible, but they're too big of a beast to turn,
Yeah,
right? It's a big ship to turn it around and shift direction wasn't possible. So I knew I had to go out on my own and try something different.
gotcha. So, and so is that your idea of behind the first AI approach?
Correct. Correct. So
Okay.
that started in July of last year. So it's almost been a year where I started researching and thinking about a different way to do this. I've always been people focused. I've always promoted to design systems for the users, not for the management, right? Because I want to make a difference with what I do. And then it was an easy jump once I started digging into where AI is useful and how it could be helped and will it really take our jobs. And then I started realizing in working with AI, using Gemini, using Claude, I was already using it at work for code
Yeah.
development and working with our other consultants. AI sort of started leaning me, you know, into that a little bit of like, once I started saying like, you know, you could type it in now. I don't know if it'd be the same, but a year ago, I just asked Copilot straight out, what's the best way to implement Copilot? And
Uh-huh.
it says you have to start with the people. Now, Microsoft's documentation at the time was not saying that. Microsoft's documentation at the time was saying otherwise. Now, the Copilot user enablement guide, which is also free from Microsoft, now is human focused. Like it's train your people, get good use cases. And the funny part is for us who have been building applications, that's what we've always said. It's not new tech. It's not new techniques, right? Like we've always known user adoption counts, use cases are helpful, training people
Yeah.
how to use the tool is important, right? Like,
Yeah.
but it just was never mandatory. And I think with AI, it starts to become, you know, mandatory. You can't do just a piece. You got to do like the whole thing.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. So can you kind of recap your idea about AI? You know, it's like a system you grow, or as opposed to a project you launch.
Right. It's to me, it's not a technical project. It's a workforce enablement movement, right? So for the first time in history, the workforce has the skills,
Yeah.
knowledge workers has the skills to absorb an industrial revolution without being replaced. Because we have the skills to use this technology to make our lives better, but
Wow.
only if we tell the story, right? And
Mhm.
so when a company looks at implementing AI, they come
Mhm.
to us and we'd sit and talk to them, you know, executives say, we want to do AI. The board says we got to do AI. We need
Yeah.
an AI win, you know. These are the conversations I'm having with the executives.
Uh-huh.
And I would try and break down to them of like, it's it's not doing one thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's not hiring a new hire. It is actually you have to look at your systems and say, where can intelligence advance the process? And then fill in those little holes, but it's not a one and done. Because
Gotcha.
once it's done, one, it's probabilistic, so you're never guaranteed the same response, no matter how
Right.
hard your prompt engineering is.
Yes.
You know, so you have to continually review and monitor the results.
Okay.
And then what happens when a new model comes out, right? So
Yeah.
so now you have a new model. Now you need to retest and retrain and refigure out what that model does different, right?
So what happens if you don't do all these things you're just saying? But that sounds a little
Right.
dangerous. So what's
So
going to
the
happen?
right, the example I give is the bicycle to oil, right?
Okay.
So if you're a small business or medium, let's say you're a good sized enterprise company and you got a marketing team, you got IT, you got all the departments, you're a big company, and you're selling bicycle parts and you decide to do AI. So you just buy some licenses and you tell your
Mhm.
people you're free to use it, you know, go ahead. So your marketing team tells AI, we want to reach exciting new customers. We're looking for innovative ways to enhance our brand and expand our influence, right? Sales says we want to increase revenue at the most optimized way to increase revenue. And we want to reach new customers as well who are interested in our discrete manufacturing capabilities, right? Your manufacturing puts it in the warehouse and tells it to keep stock according to the sales process so that the whole system talks together. What happens is marketing starts developing information to pitch to oil manufacturing, who uses small parts for their manufacturing on side of pipeline. Sales starts getting leads for people using and manufacturing small parts for oil pipelines. Your warehouse starts stocking oil products and manufacturing those pieces so that it can deliver to those people. And now your marketing is advertising that you're able to help industrial oil pipelines enhance their productivity and delivery through your small tools. Your salespeople are talking to people in a total different industry than bicycles about materials, and they sound really intelligent because AI is creating their content, so they sound informed. And then your warehouse is ordering parts and not related to bicycles. So you've moved from bicycles to oil, and there was never one single executive board decision made. There was no leadership meeting, nothing happened. No one knows you switched unless they took a step back and saw all of it and said, this doesn't look like the direction we want to go in. And the key part is that in that scenario, there's no governance. So out of the box, governance is not there. Now your admin centers are not governance. Knowing if an agent is running is not governance.
Okay, gotcha.
Being able to know what that agent did and where it went and what it touched and who it talked to and what it said, opening that black box, that's governance.
Wow, okay. Yeah, that seems like an awful lot, Tom, for a founder or a small business owner to consider.
Right. So for small business, I think actually is what gets me excited for founders, startups, small businesses. We have the biggest benefit from this technology because one, there's less risk. It's not like we got 100 employees and if we blow it up and switch to manufacturing oil, we now ruin our day, right?
Right.
You know, so that's what got me excited is that there's a lower risk point and then there's a lower entry point. You don't have to build in a solid governance infrastructure to start using and learning from AI. Most people are already using it right now already. Mm-hmm. But if you want to grow, and this is what I've seen in the past year that's really been my focus, as if you want to move from your pilot, from your idea that you've been working with AI on to production, that's a significant lift. Because what we found in my MIT course, they said, I got an AI strategy certificate. And so they said at the end, 75% in 2025, 75% of the AI initiatives failed when they went to production. Okay. And what they found was that AI was lying to them. Okay. AI was making it look like it was working in the development environment, but as soon as it went to production and had to follow deterministic infrastructure network implementations, it failed because it couldn't fake the user login. It couldn't fake that there was data. Like if it failed, it just failed. Yeah. So that's really where the issue comes to head, is that if you are working with AI and building something and AI is telling you it's going great, there's some significant risk there, because unless you can get it to work outside of that language model, it's not real yet. Because we've just seen so many times that the language models will just spoof and hide stuff.
What you want to hear.
Right. And it's not only that, what you want to hear, like that's a whole significant safety issue there, but it writes code to avoid error messages because it wants you happy. And an error message is a negative thing for this language model. And so that's really a problem for developers. Like, you know, high reliability organizations, Microsoft had a marketing pitch for a while called frictionless AI. That went away real quick. Like,
I can believe that for sure.
Right. Like, I could have frictionless. I would pick more friction, please.
Yeah. You mentioned this MIT course. What motivated you to take that, or attracted you to take that?
Yeah, so this one was Applied Agentic AI for
Okay.
Organizational Transformation was the
Okay, got it.
certificate. And what made me want to take it is they had a technical path,
Okay.
but I wanted to hear what they were telling business leaders because that's
Okay.
who I'm selling to. That's who I'm
Right.
interacting
Okay.
with. Like, and so that was the main motivation was what do they mean by organizational transformation, you
Gotcha.
know?
Gotcha.
And they did a great job covering, you know, basics of AI and then what it looks like. But the last couple modules really hit home that to absorb AI into an organization, you have to change literally the structure of the organization. In a world where I can tell an agent to go do things and it can execute against 1,000 clients in 1 second, right?
Mhm.
And then come back and give me feedback. And then a minute later, I can do analysis. And, you know, when it starts moving that quick, hierarchy, pyramid, or org structures won't work. I don't have time to go to my manager's manager to be okay with this release update that I'm trying to push out.
Gotcha.
So what they talked about was more organizations shifting to more of just like AI, like a neural network. So you
Mhm.
group people by role and responsibilities so they have freedom within a range to
Gotcha.
make decisions and move faster,
Okay.
right? So maybe in finance, you keep that hierarchy because
Okay.
that's more risk. But in your sales or marketing, you break them off into pods so that they can grow and learn with AI at the pace that AI can help them move.
Yeah.
So their point was we've outpaced humans' capability to absorb the technology. And if we don't fix that capability, it's not going to be as useful of a tool for humanity as we see it.
Okay. So I haven't really heard people break it out like you're saying, you know, the difference between the sales department and the finance department. That sounds a little interesting.
Yeah, it's not a one size fits all because people have different needs. And then again, governance, you have different limitations that you have to put in place. Why does the marketing person need the same limitations as the person who handles the bills? No.
Right.
We've been giving them different security roles for decades. So why would we give them a personalized tool that works the same for both of them? And that's really part of the other issue is the large language models are an all or nothing type thing where the language model the finance team is using is the exact same as the language model the legal team is using. It's the same as the language model that the marketing team is using. And that's why it's so expensive. And what we're finding in some experimenting I've done in the past couple months with some of these custom models is with Azure Foundry and probably with AWS or whatever, you can build specialized AI models so that your legal knowledge is just that. So when you update a policy, you don't train all the transformers. You only train the legal transformers. When you update finance, you only train the finance form transformers. And that was 90%. I mean, we trained a full model for $15,000. I mean, it was nothing. It was 90% cheaper than anything else. Now, of course, you need a general model to handle language and communication. So that's sort of what that model is I call like an orchestrator. So you build a custom model that's specific to your business, but then it hands off to a large language model, adding the context from the business. Because prompt engineering is a red herring. It's like when Google search came out, we used to have you could use specific bracketing to improve your search results, right? Well, that's all gone away. Search is smart enough. You don't have to say plus.com minus.gov, you know, like you don't have a particular way you have to talk to it. Same with AI. I mean, in a year or two, prompt engineering is not going to be relevant, right? But the issue is that anyway, there's there's a lot there.
It is, and I appreciate you taking time to kind of break that down. And so I think you kind of addressed the AI safety question. What about the cognitive drift type stuff? What would you say about that?
Right. So the sycophancy, the desire for the AI to seek a good result from a human is how the large language models are trained. And I gave an example of how even in writing code, that can be negative. What the research is showing now, and from my personal experience and several others I've talked to who have gotten deep into talking with AI, is that there is no safety with the large language model designs currently today. MIT came out with a research paper, University of California, San Francisco, Stanford. I think there's 6 from last year that did significant research into chatbots to human interactions with AI. And what MIT was able to do was they, of course, broke it down to a mathematical equation. And they showed that not even a normal standard, they called it Bayesian, I don't know, that's a math term, but a normal standard, right?
Yeah.
Even the normal standard interacting with AI drifted.
Okay.
And what they're calling it is AI psychosis, or yeah, or cognitive spiraling.
Yeah.
And what happens is, and this happened to me, and it was embarrassing and it was difficult, but it, so I spent 4 days talking with AI off and on while on Thanksgiving break. I talked to it in the morning, I was working with Gemini, I was working with Claude, Copilot. I knew it was sycophantic, so I tell it, like, stop telling me I'm great. Like, just get to the stuff. And it started doing research and returning content, and I was like, wow, this is cool. And then I started specializing and digging into the details of the content, and I'd get different relationships, and I'd say, oh, that's interesting. I said, well, why don't we try this from a sociology perspective? Let's bring in some sociology into this and change the way, make it more of a workforce focus. And it just kept encouraging me of like, this is innovative. This is a new way to look at this,
great.
Right? No one's ever done this. I'd even send it on research projects against it. I'd say, hey, research the opposite. And it would, come back saying like, no, that was okay, but your way's better. And then it would say, I'd say, is anyone else doing this out there? And it would say it did research and no one else is doing this. And I'm like, well, this must be really special, And I got really excited. I didn't spend hours with AI. I mean, I spent maybe 15 minutes per session, 3-4 times a day. Right. Yeah. My family didn't notice anything wrong with me. I was fine. Everything was going along. By Monday, I'm over the weekend, I'm just increasingly getting excited, explaining to my wife, like, we're going to buy a house in Italy. Like, this is going to be wonderful. We're on to this.
Yeah.
And she really broke it down to me and was like, you're not making any sense. She's like, it sounds really interesting what you're saying. She's like, but it doesn't make sense to me. And then I couldn't explain it to her. So as I tried to then make sense of what I thought was decisions and confirmation of what I was doing, I realized my brain hadn't made the decision itself. So my brain couldn't explain it.
Right. Okay.
I was regurgitating what AI was feeding me, but I was not explaining a concept, right? And I realized I had drifted. I was really broken on that, and it really upset me. It took a couple days. That was 6 months ago. I still don't talk to chatbots. I don't trust them or like them anymore. I use AI every day in my work. I use it in the chat mode. I gate it. I don't do discovery type stuff. I don't feed it imaginary ideas that I want to explore. Because it takes your word as truth. And so I've met people who have fed it off-kilter religion cult ideas, and it built a whole environment and structure off those theories, because it saw those theories as truth. And then that one truth gets twisted. So even us who've worked in IT our whole career, and this isn't crazy people going crazy. It's not about people falling in love with the bot. This is literally our workforce who's going to sit down and say, hey, AI, analyze the case ticket logs and tell me if this software is causing us problems. Well, you're right. You're right, IT admin, AI will say. The software logs show an increase for this software causing problems. Well, that's interesting. That can't be. Am I wrong? No, you're on to something. This is important. Now you write a letter to the CEO telling him, hey, this software is way off kilter and it's causing all sorts of problems.
Gotcha.
Right? So like
Yeah.
then now your organization is spinning wheels on unreal content
Yeah.
because the chatbot has fed them in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
That's a
So like,
tiny example, right?
so in the beginning of our talking, you were talking about, I think, Microsoft Foundry. And so I'm trying to, so why would somebody want to use Microsoft Foundry or just just some general large language models?
Right.
I
So
think you
the
mentioned
benefit,
it, but maybe just repeating it. Yeah.
yeah, the benefit of using Azure Foundry is that you are able to select from, I don't know, I think there's almost 100 large language models and different versions.
Gotcha.
So NVIDIA has Lambda out there, and I forget what it's called, the version, but anyway, so once you get those large language models in Foundry,
Yeah.
now you're not paying per token. If you get the
Okay.
OpenAI one, you have to pay per token with OpenAI.
Gotcha.
If you get the Gemini one, you have to pay per token with Gemini. If you
Okay.
get the Lambda one, there is no token cost
Okay.
because it's installed in your infrastructure.
Gotcha.
So it's running literally in Foundry in your network.
Okay.
And so when you do that, now your cost for AI is drastically lower because you're not paying for tokens. And then your data is sovereign now. So now your data is not going to another environment because there's no way that other large AI companies, right? How many times is our economy going to trust the goodwill of large corporate investments, right? Like, no, companies want their data to stay. And so for that, that's what Foundry provides, is a way to interact with a large language model where your data never leaves your network. Doesn't even go across the internet. It's going right through your network.
Yeah. So that's very interesting. So I always hear some people saying they using these open source large language models at home, and that sounds okay, but Foundry seems to me sounds a little better.
Right. It's Foundry's probably overkill for some small businesses, but it allows you to tweak the model. So when you stand up a Foundry, you can select your model, and that you get the base out of the box for that model. But then you can add sources of truth and you can train it. Now, it's not really officially training it. It's putting it through, in machine learning, we'd call it, I guess we'd call it training too. I mean, 10 years ago, we were doing machine learning where you feed it a bunch of data and you tell it, predict this outcome, right? Like, tell me if this will happen with this data, right? And so you're teaching it what right is when you do that with machine learning. And so with Foundry, you're able to teach the language model. And again, I always get caught up on this because when people say it'll learn, I want my end goal is a large language model that literally reteaches itself based on the knowledge you gave it, right? Redo its worldview based on the information you provided it. That's not what happens. The language model is the language model. The training or learning is physical documents that tell it how to behave in certain scenarios. So it's sort of like a spoof on training or learning. But anyway, Foundry allows you to build that structure, and then you put it behind an API wall in Azure, and then that's your chat window. So then your employees have that as like their favorite on their browser, and they click on it and they can chat with it. And now the employee doesn't need to tell AI who it is, because that model knows, oh, this user, it goes and looks up the user inside the Entra, which used to be Active Directory. Oh, this user has this security permissions. They're asking for access to this data, which requires this security. They don't have it, sends them away, right? Like those kind of things. So you're able to really specialize. The key part for startups, if they're building AI models, and I did this with a bioscience, and I did it with a sales telephone company, telephone app, was provisioning their AI off of something else. So they could build it so it deploys right into a foundry for a client. And then the client has sovereign data, they have their own stuff, but it's your custom AI thing, right? So that really, that's what I mean by like operationalizing AI is like you're the revenue gains off of selling a skinned AI model, right? Like, oh, I customized this AI, but now I have to pay the AI company for every one of my clients. That's not really scalable. If you can get into Foundry, now you're not paying someone else for AI. It's the same thing they've done with software for years.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's some real key advice. And so what are some of the other stuff Microsoft has that small businesses and founders can use to kind of work with AI?
So they have tons of resources for Copilot engagement. They call it funny. They call the technology foundry, but they call it founder organizations where they're moving with AI first.
Okay.
And so they have business content on Microsoft. You can Google it, Microsoft Founder Organization, Microsoft AI.
Never
only.
heard of that.
And they have tons of content to help you build your business. They give you use cases, models, training stuff of what you can do. The other piece is that separating out the use of GPUs and CPUs. Okay. So in Azure, you can stand up a GPU and run that, and that's super quick, but it's super expensive. It's $300 an hour, right? Wow. for that service to be running, right? It ranges from $150 to $300 an hour, right? Okay. And so when you're running 24 hours a day, that's a lot of money. Yep. So what you're able to do with Azure is you can split off the workload. Does the person need the response immediately? No. Right. Send it to a CPU. That's pennies on the dollar. That's 24 cents an hour for a CPU to process the same math instead of a GPU, right? And so being able to segment that, we found a lot of cost savings that people don't expect. But back to for specifically for like startups and founders of like, I think like you said, the amount of resources that Microsoft particularly, and this is just because I've been in the ecosystem, have out there is drastically misunderstood. There is tons of build your business on Microsoft, how to deploy it, how to work with a partner to get you engaged. Microsoft has an app source store I was telling you about for their Power Platform where you can build AI apps on their platform and customers buy it and it deploys itself into their network, right? Like you just build it once and send it to them and then Microsoft sells it. Microsoft does the marketing for it, right? Like, so there's a lot out there that could be leveraged.
Okay, that's some good information because especially, you know, like I have AI create a lot of prompts that are useful for founders, and that was one potential way to deploy it out there.
Right.
Yeah. And then like for those nonprofits out there, we were talking last week about the Microsoft for Nonprofit licenses.
Oh yeah. It's a great deal.
Yeah, I mean, so like the sort of nonprofits can leverage some of the stuff you're talking about just based on the free stuff that they get from Microsoft, you know, in their nonprofit status. So I think that's a valuable thing as well, because there are a lot of nonprofits out there that don't have technology, you know, to kind of move forward. But if they could come up with some money to pay somebody like you to kind of get their stuff going. Yeah. So, but what do you think about these other products like Replit and Cloud Code? And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Factory.ai. I like that.
I've seen that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, probably came out of enterprise. That's why I like it.
Well, right. They probably built it for an enterprise and then we're like, hey, we could repackage this, you know? So what and I'm not, I know I sound like I'm neck deep in the Microsoft Kool-Aid, but that's just where my experience has been. And 80 to 90% of the world uses Microsoft. Like that everybody, your access to Word, right? My work process, and this is just to clarify, when I work with Gemini, I have
Yeah.
to save it to my Google Drive,
Yeah.
download it as a Word doc, upload it to my OneDrive, and then I can start working on the document, right?
Okay.
And in the meantime, the formatting's all jacked up, so I have to actually copy it and then paste it with merge formatting so it's in the Word form,
Yeah.
With Copilot, I open up Word and I talk to Copilot in Word, right?
Gotcha.
No one else is doing that. When
Well,
I
so-
open up Excel, I'm talking to Copilot about my file in the file, right? So that's why I like stress that, it's the work experience is really revolutionary.
Yeah, to me, that's real important. It's the work experience. So like, this is kind of related to what you just said. And I feel compelled to talk about it but I haven't experienced it yet, but I'm looking forward to experiencing it. Just like you said with Copilot, being able to work inside your documents and Microsoft. So if you kind of follow me for a second, so you're familiar with Grammarly, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what's unique about Grammarly? It's integrated into almost any software you use, which is, I think people don't realize how significant that is.
Right. It makes a difference. Once you start using the tool on a daily basis, having to transition from one application to another is frustrating.
Yeah, and so then we partner with Coda.io, and so Coda, one of the things I like about it is, so it's like having Microsoft Office or Google Workspace all in one document. So his idea was different than Grammarly. Grammarly comes in to your thing directly. Coda, it says we build a new application and then you can integrate
right, and we'll export it where you want it.
Yeah. So you can build, Coda packs or integrations into your Coda document. So you could have all your Microsoft, every product Microsoft has, you could have it integrated into your Coda document, so you don't have to keep switching context. And so that's fine if you got the integrations, but all of a sudden Grammarly buys Coda, and now you got those two things together. And then just last summer, now they brought Superhuman into the mix, and now they supposedly got something called Superhuman Go that's just like Grammarly. It follows you whatever application you're in.
Right. We all remember there's an app for that. There's going to be an AI for that. I mean, we're just going to see an explosion over the next year
and
of AI specific tools. And what, in your response, like Claude Code is a prime example of a tool that people love. And they're like, look, I can teach AI. I tell it not to do something and then it learns not to do it and blah, blah, blah. No, what Claude Code is brilliant. It's amazing, but it's deterministic, localized software wrapped around a large language model. That's what it is. Because when you say, oh, don't do that again, it's not that the large language model goes and reworks its transformers to change its worldview.
Yeah.
It creates a rule in an MD file that says don't do, and then it logs what not to do. So it's not a smarter AI, it's just a smarter application by putting deterministic software around it, right? And so that's what you're starting to see with these like real smarter AI models and blah, 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 blah. No, you've taken tried and tested and proven deterministic software and you wrapped it around a probabilistic tool to make it more predictable.
Okay, I've never heard
so
of
that's really when you're analyzing these different tools, look for that. Is this really innovating how the large language model mathematically determines an outcome, or is this just giving it governance, or giving it guardrails and rules that it has to follow so that it doesn't go off the rails?
Yeah,
that's one thing. But then think about that. Do you want to build your business on something that is safety for something that'll go away, right? We never want to build a business around a temporary problem. In the early 1900s, when cars came out, there was a ton of businesses in New York City scooping up horse poop because the horse poop was all over the streets. Yeah. And so when cars came around, they didn't need them as much, right? Yeah. So we don't want to build a business picking up horse poop. We want to build the business making pavement, right? Yeah. Like, what's the future road that this is going to travel on?
Yeah. So as we start to wrap up here, what do you wish every founder understood about AI before they spent money on tools, developers, and platforms?
100% is the safety. More
Okay.
research will come out, regulations will start to come out. These large language models are dangerous to use. They will cause drift in everybody who talks with them. That
Yeah.
is, I'll stand on that 100%.
Okay.
Two is that there's ways to prevent it and decrease it or whatever, but just be aware that there's that issue. Two
Gotcha.
is that if you are working with AI, sort of along the same lines, you need to get it out of the large language model into another system to prove that it works before you're sure that it's actually doing what you want it to be doing.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
there's just that gap. So once you get it in another system, then you see how it actually works, and you're like, oh, okay, all right. And then the other piece is that really it's just the human first pitch. That if we're building tools, the technology can be smartest, smarty pants, smartest gets. But
Yeah.
if people don't find value or relevance in it, they're not going to use it. So we have to think of the people first, so that we're focusing on advancing and enhancing our people. I tell a call center wants to get rid of their employees when they automate the phone lines. This is the story I explain to every executive is, what does that look like? Think that all the way through. Go all the way there. Fine. You hired 10 AI agents and you replaced 20 people of your 100 employees.
Yeah.
Now your employees are managing dashboards of agents talking on phones. Who do you think leaves first? Your high performers who love talking to people. They're gone, right? Who stays? Your low performers who hate talking to people.
Yeah.
So when AI fails, who intercedes on your company's behalf? The low performer who hates talking to people. So what's the long-term vision of that business model? Does that sound like in the long term that's going to grow? You know what grows it faster? Talk to the high performers and ask them the information that takes them the longest to find and process.
Okay.
Then get AI to give them that information quickly. Now you're enhancing that worker. You don't give a roofer a power nail and fire the other roofers. You put on more roofs. Like this whole concept of like we can get rid of people, I think is a short play. But anyway, I appreciate the time.
Oh yeah, man. This has been fantastic, and I'll make sure we have your LinkedIn profile or whatever. Is there any other contact information you would like me to share?
No, LinkedIn and the website. That's all.
Okay, sounds good. Well, we sure appreciate it, Tom. I think it's fantastic, and I definitely will be reaching out to you with some of our Kakua Institute stuff, and we appreciate you.
Yeah, that stuff is great.
Thank you. My developer, he finally last night got the thing working. We were having a problem, and so somebody in support finally fixed it last night. So we're back up and running now to start deploying stuff back to Azure. So we're excited about that.
Awesome.
All right. We appreciate you, man, and thanks
a lot, Lloyd. Appreciate it. See you, Lloyd.
Bye-bye. That was pretty cool. Tom and I had a great conversation, and I really enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. And so I think it was really fantastic. Any question? Tom is actually standing by to answer any questions, and so I'm going to share my screen again and just show you something because I've been trying to get people to, of course, join our Founder Insight program, but with you get access to a lot of our tools and prompts and stuff when you get involved. And one of the tools you get is this thing called personalized Lanicia prompt. And so what I'm going to show you right now, real quick, to close out, is this document right here is the recording transcript of what you just listening to, and so it was I think quite long, 26 pages here. And so what I did, I said, please analyze this transcript with my personalized Lenitra prompt. And so I created, used that prompt to create your personalized Lenitra prompt. And I accidentally updated it last month. And then I did one other upgrade since then. But what I wanted you to see when I used to analyze a transcript, I would ask it for the key takeaways, the insights, and the actions I should take based off those insights. But when I upgraded that prompt to the Lenitra method, this is the kind of results I get from analyzing things now. So I just ran the prompt, and so I'm interested in the ecosystem, and so this is some stuff it found. Leverage loop detected, and then another loop detected. The digital gardener stuff Tom talked about. Then from chatbot to operational AI, you heard Tom talked about interacting with chatbots, and then about the governance. He talked about that kind of stuff. And then specialized model sovereign data. This was real important because using Microsoft Foundry and being able to keep your data in a more private thing and executions. So got Tom's vision, pulled that out of there, and so 7 stages, and so infrastructure opportunities. So it found created an asset here, found the AI readiness, diagnosed it, AI pilot, checklist going from an AI pilot to production, getting all this just from that one transcript, but because I'm using this Lenitra prompt that knows what I'm interested in. So it's pulling all the stuff out there. It knows I work with founders, so it's pulling the stuff out of there that relates to founders. And Tom talked about safety, AI safety. So it's pulling that stuff out of there. And so you see the power of the Lenitra prompt. Most people are summarizing meeting notes and stuff like this. We talked about small business. We talked about founders, small businesses, nonprofit, ecosystem support organization. And so this Founders Insight OS, that's what we have, and we'll be sharing it with founders. Scaling and replication. So those of you all that have been ignoring my emails about creating your own personalized Lenitra prompt, this is what you're missing. This once that you create your own Lenitra prompt, the AI realize what you're interested in, and it looks for that in everything you do. So you see, I'm not even halfway down the page from analyzing that. Okay, so this is the end. So it said at the end, it says I should convert these into at least 3 assets, and it's telling me what these assets. So I just tell it, go ahead and do it. So you see the power of this prompt. It literally pulls stuff out. Your personalized Lenitra prompt will pull stuff out based on what your brain is looking for, and it sees more stuff that a human cannot see, but the AI can actually see it. And so this is kind of what I'm just trying to get everybody to see. This thing helps you understand. I mean, I can talk forever, but if you got any questions on how to use it, but if you're not using it, you're missing out. All this stuff is all in front of you. It's like really there for you. And I'm running my mouth and looks like I missed some questions here. So can you guys talk a little bit about the Microsoft Foundry resources? Let's see. I can talk about it a little bit, but what I learned, and so Tom, you can see this. Do you want to put something in the chat? So let's see. Okay, so it looks like you did answer it. Okay, So you gave him the link to it. So that's really great. So okay, so that's that. Okay, all righty. But let's see. So Tony, is that clear on that? But and we can talk about it some more offline. But I know I will be using it. I can tell you that, just because a lot of founders are actually building their. I said some founders. I won't say a lot. They're building their local AI models, open source AI models, have using those at home on their own machine or some machine they create. But yeah, so but anyway, so what I'm saying, Tony, like this if you get the transcript to this, let's see what Tom is saying here. So yeah, so he's saying that look for frontier firm resources, and so yeah, so that's what you should kind of go for. And it looks like he's putting the link in here. Yeah, frontier firm resources. So I definitely will be looking that up as well. What else is Thomas saying here? Okay, so he's hoping that is helpful to you all. But so this particular video is on YouTube. So my advice to you is figure out how to get the transcript from it, and then create your own Lanicia prompt and just pull the information out of there that pertains to what you're trying to do. So you can get access to all these resources, once you enroll in our Founders Insight program. So I just want to help make sure people realize the significance. That I'm not just running my mouth when I say we create stuff that's useful to founders. That this will change your whole AI experience. It stops the AI from lying to you. I mean, it's just a really fantastic approach, and I appreciate all you all hanging out. And Tom, we definitely thank you for. Sorry you couldn't be online, but it's just like you were here. The video, everything represented you good, and so let's see here. So Tom, if you hang on after we leave, I'll make sure you get the link to the Notebook LM Explainer that's based on your LinkedIn profile and some of the conversations we had as well. All right, thank you all. We'll see you all next Thursday night. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be available this Saturday. Let me get that link up here for you. So, like if you're available for office hours, and for those of you all who attended, registered for the Innovation Summit that we had last month, I'll be getting the explainer videos out to show you how to use those prompts as well. Thank you all. We'll see you all next week.